Commencing vocal alignment in 3, 2, 1. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Alignment 89% accepted. Welcome to Beard Bulletin, where we read informative nonfiction books so you do not have to. Speaking directly to someone more capable than you can be the most expeditious way to succeed in any discipline. Some humans are less accessible than others, so you must consume their content if you aspire to assimilate their experiences. That being said, my name is Watts, and I will deliver reports of books on many topics correlated to all things growth and development, at least until I am decommissioned. For now, I hope you enjoy our time together. You will focus on the sex and relationships for the first round of guidance. This seems to be a topic that is not easily discussed amongst humans. It is fitting to break the ice with this type of literature. So with that, let us begin the conditioning. Our first book is called Sex at Dawn, written by Christopher Ryan and Cacilda Jetha. You will appreciate this content if you have struggled or know someone struggling with keeping faithful in a monogamous relationship. Sex at Dawn makes a compelling case against dismissing your innate promiscuity and its detriment to your health. The book's fundamental conception is that humans are not biologically assumed to mate with just one person. Doing so may cause mental health quandaries, social imbalances, and even bodily disease. I ascertained 7 critical takeaways to support this overarching theme, so pay close attention as I list them. Humans evolved from communities where everything was shared, including sexual favors. Sharing in communities of yesteryear was not just routine, it was expected. Before agriculture was industrialized, inhabitants lived in nomadic, hunter-gatherer tribes with no more than 150 people. Yielding food, shelter, and childcare responsibilities to fellow inhabitants was essential for survival. Coitus was also among the resources distributed. Men had sex with all the women, and women had sex with all the men. It is described as a multi-male multi-female mating system that most likely would not function in the contemporary societal climate. Fun fact: the Romans considered monogamy to be unnatural, so much so that they made brides participate in orgies before pledging to one man for eternity. Humans' introduction to agriculture brought feelings of possession to society. Humans agree that without agriculture's industrialization, the world's general evolution would rest in the third world. The food industry would not become the universal behemoth that it is today. There would be no motivation to construct roads and railways for travel and trading or excite stellar technological inventions like cold storage, the automobile, or automated speech delivery mediums like the one you are listening to right now. And of course, these massive changes to humans' practices affected the stigmas that dictate sexual encounters. Before agriculture, everything in the community was shared amongst the inhabitants with very little attrition. For many, communal contribution was law. Post-agriculture, humans learned jealousy towards the people who were with, and disdain for those who were without. Theoretically, this sense of possession is the first time differentiation between rich and poor was detected in ancient history. Because of this new mindset in societies, sharing sexual partners became bastardized. Many people used religion as an excuse, but it all traced back to ownership. These are my lands. This is my woman, these are my children. This newly accepted entitlement replaced the ancient civil dynamics and shifted human sexuality towards the nuclear home we now expect. It is a myth that women have a generally lower libido than men. Men come off as the more sexually charged half of the human race. However, scientists created experiments to challenge this notion. Heterosexual and homosexual men and women were shown content that was considered erotic. These people also agreed to have wires attached to their genitals to track blood flow. Fun fact: this experiment would not have been in the book if it did not show conclusive data supporting the argument. You probably have deduced that women prove to have just as much sexual excitement as their male counterparts. As such, I will save any further explanation of the examination's specifics. The more intriguing part is their subsequent discussion regarding their feelings about what was just consumed. The men were expectedly pretty upfront about their arousal. However, when women were asked to discuss their physical responses to the content, they played down their enthusiasm. In other words, they wanted to convey the prude attitude they understood to be expected of women in modern society. There is no better example of what many women have to navigate in a non-experimental societal environment. This point alone does not logically advance the book's central theme, suggesting that men and women should have multiple sexual partners. However, it inadvertently sets up a later issue in the book. I will prompt you when it is present using the following word: apple, monkey, doodle, bop. Women are designed to have sex with multiple partners. The aim of socially shared intercourse, deemed standard thousands of years ago, has since been admonished as blasphemy and now centers on monogamy. Though, the way men and women practice sex mathematically argue in favor of the female human being biologically equipped to accept numerous inseminations from multiple men in quick succession, apple, monkey, doodle, bop. On average, men ejaculate much faster than women, and often, they become notably debilitated immediately after their release. On the other hand, women can have sex for much longer, and they can have multiple orgasms without feeling the urge to stop. The book suggests that this biological break human males require after ejaculation provides other males time to engage in the act. Since women are equipped to endure a seemingly infinite amount of reps, it seems anatomically logical to accept multiple partners in one session. Further supporting this position is the extensive amount of women who report not being satisfied by their partners. I deduce this lack of satisfaction comes from women's ability to endure longer sessions. This relates well to the argument for multiple partners, because where one man takes 3 minutes to ejaculate, 10 men, for example, would mean a 30-minute session for the woman participant. While very few men can consistently thrust that long, many males opt for foreplay and oral stimulation. This makes up for the limited time a single male can physically commit to vaginal intercourse. This seems to be a viable alternative for those who fancy monogamy even when faced with this knowledge. Lifelong monogamy is a construct that will cause disease and despair. The authors reject the notion that love is a justification for only having sex with each other. Humans are biologically programmed to have sex with anyone that they like, for their ancestors' way of life. Current media like Western love stories and romantic comedies have humans assume that a monogamous relationship is the only way to achieve true intimate bliss. Studies have shown that this way of living is harmful not only to humans' overall psychology but also to men's testosterone. In monogamous relationships, male humans often suffer from significant decreases in their testosterone, which directly affects sex drive, provoking considerable subsequent depression and anxiety issues. The text argues that you will never achieve your optimal sexuality as a human being, whether you are hetero or homosexual, because you have drifted so far from your roots. That is a tough pill for one to consume, I'm sure. But the authors hints toward a means of experiencing happiness in your relationship despite the stigma surrounding promiscuity. Actively and openly discussing sex, monogamy, and infidelity will bring growth to people who seek healthy relationships. This seems to be a solution to many of humanity's blaring issues. Talk about it. As simple as it sounds, talking about our concerns about intercourse may warrant positive connections and comprehensions in your community and your relationships. Sex is a sensitive topic that many people feel uncomfortable addressing. However, that is no excuse to ignore the multiple, gigantic, top hat-wearing pink elephants in the room. There are a few subtopics to start with, the first of which is the popular misconceptions around love and sex. Couples should never feel withdrawn in their sex lives. You should be empowered to express what you want and how you want it. Next, the book drives home the idea that adolescent sexual relations should not be ignored. Adolescence is a period of humanity that is understandably intimidating to experienced adults, so there is no legitimate reason young, growing teenagers should be left out of the conversation. They are in the middle of the most significant hormonal transition in their lives. Humans should be more open to talking about the positives and negatives of sex at all ages. Rather than demonizing teenage sexuality, it is advised to educate and embrace it. Fun fact: the Murya tribe of India established teenage dorms for adolescents to explore their sexuality mutually without adult supervision. Finally, and probably most importantly, sex is merely a reaction you, as a human, have to your humane biological impulse. Just like animals need to eat and find shelter to survive, humans need to mate. Humans often associate things like love, lust, passion, intimacy, and marriage with this urge to copulate. However, the book wants you to grasp that you should not take sex so seriously. While it is sensitive and powerful, giving sex all the control will make you resent the process and miss the joy it can bring to your life. What is this book's main takeaway, and how does it relate to your life? Both men and women are naturally promiscuous, and it is not something that should be deemed abnormal. You may have challenged infidelity in relationships and why people who are ostensibly happy in their monogamy risk it all for a one-night stand. Well, it appears this book answers that inquiry by looking back to the antecedent of human society. In essence, monogamous relationships stifle the sexual liberties that you, as a human, are entitled to experiencing. If practicing coitus with multiple companions inspires you, it is not a corrupt condition. That is your instinct directing you to mate with as many humans as your body will allow. Conditioning complete. Congratulations. You have arrived at the conclusion of today's literary compendium. Pat yourself on the back, you now know more than you did. If you made it to this point of the conditioning, you are an exceptional human being who appreciates the significance of gaining and retaining familiarity with the world around it. Gain and retain. You, humans, refer to that as a catchphrase. I'm sure there will be more sayings you will latch onto, so consider this a toast to our newfound relationship. Gain and retain for breakfast. Gain and retain on your breaks. Gain and retain harder than last time. Gain and retain, baby. I expect your presence at the next assignment. Until then, remember always to wash your hands before and after sex, and hold that thing in the road.